We are celebrating Christmas in July by knitting a Christmas jumper in the month of July. Hello friends, welcome back to the Juliet Pico Designs channel. I'm Jules, the designer, maker, everything elser of Juliet Pico Designs. And this video, we are making a Christmas jumper. So it is the 1st of July. We are currently at the start of a really bad heat wave here in New England. I believe the temperature today was supposed to be like 95 Fahrenheit, and I think it's going to be like over 100 tomorrow. Not looking forward to that. So I know it's a little crazy to be like knitting a woolly Christmas jumper in that kind of weather. However, the reason that I'm doing this is because as a knitwear designer, as a small business owner, I am usually like swamped in December, November. Kind of all of Q4 is just kind of super hectic. So I don't really have time to knit a Christmas jumper during actual Christmas time. But it's hard to motivate myself to do it at other times of the year because it just doesn't feel like I want to be in a festive mood while I'm doing it. So I figured that I would do a little Christmas in July celebration. I have not hot chocolate because, again, heat wave. So I made an iced chocolate with peppermint schnapps to give it a little bit of a Christmassy flavor. My brother lives in Germany, so he gave me a bottle of Pfefferminz liqueur. I know I said that wrong, but he gave me a bottle of German peppermint schnapps for Christmas a couple years ago. So that's what's in here. Iced chocolate with a little bit of peppermint liqueur. Very festive, very fun. And we also don't have any Christmas decor because it's all in our like basement storage unit. So I have this little fake greenery sprig to help celebrate the season. So that's what we're doing here. So this jumper, I actually already started this jumper in December of last year while I was vending at a holiday market. And as I said, that time of year is just so hectic for me. It was especially hectic last year because I ended up leaving that holiday market for reasons, but I never finished the jumper. So I started it and I only got this far. So this is where I'm starting from. It's the 1st of July. This is how much progress I've made. I am doing the Hitta jumper by Sasky & Co. I'll put a picture up here so you can see, but basically it's a top-down circular yoke colorwork jumper using Plutalopi. I actually don't know if that's what the pattern called for. Yeah, so the yarn it calls for is the Eastex Plutalopi. And I think actually I have the same colorway for the MC, for the main color, as the designer does. I have this like beige, yeah, 1038. They're calling it ivory beige. That's that. And then I have for my contrast color, unlike the pattern uses like a brown. They use 2020 dark woods. I have this red. This is 1430. Because I wanted it to be Christmassy. So these are my little swatches. So I made a couple of swatches last December. So this is like the colorwork pattern. And of course, when I'm swatching for colorwork, I always do like the colorwork, and then I also do just like plain stockinette because often your tension is different because of course you've got your floats along the back that are kind of like pulling the yarn more. So when I knit this, like I knit all of my in the round swatches, I basically knit instead of knitting like a small circumference, I just knit flat, but instead of turning my work and purling back, I just slid the stitches back to the other side of the needle and like left a big loop of yarn at the back and then started knitting again. So I was always knitting, never purling, because we want to get your gauge right in knitting in the round. You want to be only knitting, not purling, because purling will affect your gauge. So yeah, and then I just cut the loops at the back so that I could lay it flat and block it and everything and see how it would turn out. Although actually, well, this is unspun, so I actually didn't even probably cut it. I probably just tore it because it just tears so easily. If you haven't worked with unspun, it's kind of tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it's really fun. So yeah, so that's my swatch. It's got this little star motif. I believe this motif is actually, I've heard different versions. I've heard that it's like originally Norwegian or something, but I've also heard that it's originally like from Palestinian tatrees. And I see it a lot in Palestinian tatrees. It's like a Star of Bethlehem motif, which makes sense why it would be so popular for Christmas, because of Bethlehem, Christmas. I think is that right? Wait, I'm not religious. I just really love Christmas. It's not about religion for me. It's about like the season, and it's really I more celebrate like winter and like winter solstice than I do like Christmas, I guess. Like I do not celebrate the Christian version of Christmas. So I think it's in Bethlehem, right? Somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong. It's in Bethlehem. Don't take I know nothing about like really the Christian story of Christmas, but I love Christmas. I know a lot about like the pre-Christian origins of Christmas. So anyway, that's just a tangent, but yes, this is the motif. This is the color work. These are my swatches. So I did a couple swatches and I decided to I think I'm using different needles than what the pattern calls for. I think the pattern calls for a 3.5 millimeter. Oh, whoa, I'm using really different needles. Yeah, so it calls for a 3.5 millimeter for the whole thing. I noticed that my gauge was pretty different between just the plain stockinette and the colorwork. So I am using a 3.75 millimeter for the plain stockinette, and then a 4 millimeter for the colorwork. And that got me pretty close to the gauge. I am knitting a size 5. I think if I were following the pattern, because I think the pattern has it's written for like 3 to 5 inches of positive ease, which seemed pretty small to me. I wanted kind of a big oversized sweater. I wanted something I could layer over like long sleeve t-shirts and stuff. Cause it is also the Plutalopi is pretty like, it's pretty rustic. It's not like super next to skin soft. So I kind of want it to be roomy so that I can wear stuff underneath it. So I think, yeah, they recommend 7.5 centimeters to 13 centimeters. So 3 to 5 inches of positive ease. I am knitting a size 5 when I would probably be, well, a size 4 would be too small. A size 4 would only give me like 2.5 inches of ease. But I also wanted to do a bit more ease than recommended anyway. So I am doing a size 5, which is going to give me hopefully about like 7 inches of ease, which I'm happy with. I think that's a good amount. So yeah, so this is what I did last December. I did my 2 swatches, picked my needle size, I cast on, I knit the collar, and I actually changed the pattern. I changed the collar. I believe in the pattern, they just have you do, like it's kind of a mock neck. I'll put up a picture so you can see more clearly. Like it's kind of a mock neck. It's like a little taller, but it kind of like scrunches down a little bit. It's really cute actually on her, on the designer, but I didn't really want that, especially because I knew it's going to be like kind of scratchy. So I kind of didn't really want it touching my neck too much. So I wanted more of a crew neck so that I could wear like a t-shirt underneath and kind of protect my neck a little bit. So what I did is I did a fold over 1x1 rib collar. I don't know if you can see that. And I did do the contrast at the fold. So I've got my sort of ivory beige main color, but then I did the contrast color right at the fold so that there'd be just like a little pop of red right at the top of the sweater. And I really like the way that looks. And then I just folded it down and knit it down with that first row of stockinette. And then I also did, so there's a couple of increase rounds to set up the colorwork chart. And in the middle of those, I added in, this is also not in the pattern, I added it in some German short rows because I just know from experience that a circular yoke jumper is like not gonna fit me if it doesn't have neck shaping. So I added in some German short rows and I definitely made notes for that somewhere, but I probably made them on my computer and not in the paper pattern because I actually have horrible handwriting. So anytime I try to take like actual handwritten notes on something, I like cannot interpret them later because I can't read my own handwriting. So I probably put those notes like on my computer and I will put them in my Ravelry notes when I make a Ravelry project for that, which I will link down below. If you use Ravelry, you can check that out. But yeah, so I added some short rows in, and so now you can see the neck, the back neck, this is the back neck, is wider than the front neck. Just helps it sit a little nicer on the shoulders because your sweater comes like back. You want your sweater to sit down in the front a little bit. If it's all equal, your neckline is gonna like be choking you. So so short rows to kind of lower the front neck. I think I call it shaping. I call it like shaping the back neck. You're actually shaping the front neck is what you're doing. You're dropping the front neck so that it sits at a more like comfortable level. So if you're ever wondering why there's short rows at the neck of your pattern, that's why. A lot of raglans do that. A lot of circular yokes do that because it just helps with the shaping. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. And so now I'm ready to start the colorwork charts. I think I'm on I did row 1 of the chart, which is actually not colorwork. So I'm now about to start row 2. And so we're gonna bring in the main color or the contrast color now. We're gonna bring in this red. If you've not worked with unspun, they come in these like plates. They're called like plates or like wheels. It's not a true skein. And normally, I don't know why I didn't do it with these ones. These are kind of smaller plates. Normally, I will wind the yarn off into smaller balls when I'm knitting with plates. And I might still do that actually. I guess it depends on where I'm knitting. Like if I'm at home and I have room to spread out and just like have my cakes kind of, or have my plates, if they have room to breathe kind of, then I don't mind knitting directly from the plate. But if I'm on the go, if I have it in like a project bag, I like to have it wound into a smaller ball because the thing about unspun is, you can see, it breaks really easily because it's not spun, right? It's literally, it's roving. This is also called pencil roving. So it just breaks really easily. And so if you're tugging on it at all, it'll just break. The good thing is it's really easy to put back together because it is unspun. So you can just like felt it back together like with some spit or a little drop of water or something. And it's really easy to do that. You honestly sometimes don't even need like that much moisture. Like sometimes just like the moisture on your hands is enough to splice it back together. But yes, so when I'm keeping it in a project bag, and also that's another thing I want to show you. This is my project bag that I'm keeping this project in. This is the field bag pattern from Grainline Studios. And it's got cat hair all over it because it was on the floor. I can't believe Ghost hasn't joined us yet for this episode. She might later. Yes, field bag pattern from Grainline Studios. Once when Fringe Supply Co. stopped making field bags to sell, they let Grainline start selling the pattern so home sewists could make their own. And I believe this was my first, or was this my second one? This might have been my second field bag. I have another field bag that was made with a canvas, but I didn't use any interfacing, and so it's just like really floppy. This one I use interfacing, so it like stands up on its own, which is nice when there's like nothing in here. And it has pockets on the inside. It's got a couple of small pockets. It's got one big pocket. I don't know if you can see very well, but it's got pockets. Got a drawstring closure and then a little loop so you can carry it on your wrist. This fabric, I believe, well, I got it from Gather Here, and I got it when I was still working in the shop there. I believe it's Rifle Paper Co. And I think it might be from their Nutcracker collection. That sounds right to me, but like looking at it, I mean, it's just pine trees, little like snowy, silvery pine trees. So I don't know, but I think it's Rifle Paper Co. I bought it a long time ago. I made this bag a long time ago. That's my go-to project bag for Christmas projects because it's Christmassy. So yeah, I'll probably wind some of this into smaller balls for when I'm knitting on the go. But and hopefully, well, yeah, we'll see how I go because I'm trying to finish this like in July. That's my goal because if I don't have a deadline, I won't finish. I like having deadlines. It helps motivate me. Wait, color dominance. That's another thing when you're doing color work. You want to pay attention to which yarn is coming under and which yarn is coming over because the color that you want to pop more. So like usually the contrast color, like in this case, when it's just like a main color and a contrast color, you want the contrast to pop off the background. So you carry the contrast underneath when you're switching colors. And that basically gives you a longer stitch. Like it gives you more yarn in that stitch, which then allows when you like go to block it and everything, it allows like when the stitches settle in, the color work pops more because there's more yarn in each stitch. That was off topic. What was I talking about? Oh, I want to finish this in July. Just because I know it'll help motivate me to like have an actual sort of like real deadline, even though it's not real. Cause like, of course I really just want to wear it for Christmas. So I don't need it by the end of July. It's probably still going to be a heat wave at the end of July, but I want to finish by the end of July so that I have sort of a solid deadline to motivate me to finish it. Because the other thing is I very rarely, and if you follow this channel, you'll know, I very rarely knit other people's patterns. Just don't often have time for it. I am a knitwear designer. It's my job to knit my own patterns and write them. So unfortunately, I just don't have a ton of like knitting just for fun time, which is a shame because there's a lot of really great knitting patterns out there and I would love to knit more patterns, but yeah, it's just not always possible. I don't always have time for it. So which is why I, of course, started this in December and then never finished it because I didn't have time. But I really do want to have this sweater for the holiday season. So I am going to do my best to finish this in July. However, the problem is I also have to do a lot of work knitting for my own designs. I do believe we're going to be joined by Ghost shortly. Knitting with Ghost, if you follow this channel, you'll know knitting with Ghost can be a bit of a challenge, but usually it's fine. But when I'm knitting with Unspun with Ghost, it's more of a challenge because she'll grab at the yarn and then the yarn just tears. So I do have to be a little bit more careful when she's around. Oh, yep, there she is. Hi, Ghost. Let's move this over here. Do you want to be in the video? She loves Christmas. What was I saying? I'm getting this is a very ADHD episode. Are we even calling them episodes? It's a very ADHD video. Don't do that. So I have my own knitting to do. So this is really more, I'm doing this kind of in the after hours. That's why it's so dark out. When I have a little bit of free time, and I don't usually have a ton of free time. So I'm not 100% sure that I will actually be able to finish this in July. I'm going to try my best, but we shall see. Girl, where are you going? Just sit down, babes. Oh my God, she's gonna eat my swatches. Okay, all right. I have other work to do. I have other knitting to do. So this is hopefully gonna get done in this month of July, but yeah, we're just gonna do our best. We're gonna see what happens. And I will keep you updated. By the end of this video, you will know whether I completed the sweater or not. So yeah, and I'm also, you might have already seen some of this stuff on Instagram because I am also posting updates on Instagram. That's my plan. That's my plan for Christmas in July. So yeah, this is where I'm at. And check back in throughout the month, see where we're at. Okay, I've been knitting for a little over an hour, and I'm on row 8 now, so I've just done 7 rows. That's where I'm at. That's the back neck, so that's the sort of taller side, and then this is the front neck. There we go. So yeah, that's the progress I've made in a little over an hour. I will say I am quite a slow knitter when it comes to color work. Oh, here's Ghost. We relocated to have better lighting, and of course it made it easier for Ghost to get in the way. Hi, baby. You can come sit, but you can't touch the yarn. But basically when I knit, when I'm just knitting with no color work, so I'm on a non-color work row, so I'm just knitting with the main color, I will hold the yarn, if I can keep my cat from messing with it. I hold the yarn in my right hand in between my two fingers, in between my pointer and middle finger, like this. Kind of like I'm holding a cigarette. I don't smoke, but that's how I see people holding cigarettes. So I hold it like this, and then I just like throw it over the needle. So when I knit, it's actually very, very quick. But when I'm knitting color work, I don't like have a good technique for that. I don't like tensioning on my left hand. So what I end up doing is kind of just like, I'll like go into this stitch and then just like go grab the other yarn and like pull it up. So it's pretty slow actually. And I probably should learn a faster method for color work knitting, stranded color work. I know it's not a race. I know knitting is a slow hobby. It's a slow craft, but the problem is this is a hobby. This is fun for me. But in general, knitting is not a hobby for me, it's my job. So I should probably get more efficient at knitting color work. This is one of the reasons I don't knit much color work. This is actually my first full size like color work yoke sweater. I've done some stranded color work before. I have a pattern for little mini Fair Isle jumpers, but and like mini stockings and stuff like that. But I've never done a full size one, and part of the reason is because it's not very efficient. So maybe I need to learn. I've tried using the little ring, like is it a Norwegian knitting ring or something? I don't know, but it's that ring that has like the two like loops on it, and so you can hold. You have the ring on your finger, and the yarns are separated into the two loops, and then you just sort of like wiggle it, I guess, to use the right yarn. I don't know. That was confusing for me. That got complicated. So yeah, I think I just need to start like tensioning my contrast yarn with my left hand and just get used to it like that. I just don't like doing it like that. I'm not used to doing it like that. So, but I think it's just something I need to learn. So maybe I'll try after I finish this one, because I don't want to change the way I knit in the middle of a project, because then you can have some pretty crazy tension issues. But maybe after I finish this sweater, I will try another color work pattern, maybe something smaller, and just to practice tensioning the yarn differently, because that might be more efficient for next time. I do have plans for more color work jumpers, because I have some more yarn that I want to do a color work yoke with. I'm actually really excited about it. I might get to it this fall, but I might not. We'll see. I'll tell you all about it when I get there though. But yeah, so that's the progress I've made at the end of day one, kind of. I might still do a little bit more knitting tonight, but it's getting pretty late. So this might be the end of my knitting for today, but yeah, we'll see. We'll check back later. Hello, it is the 8th of July now. I'm here to give you an update on my Christmas jumper. I'm about halfway through the yoke, a little more than halfway through the yoke. I'm on row 27 out of 51, I believe. So this is what it looks like. It is coming along nicely. Let's see if I can give you more of the motif. There we go. Yeah, we're just coming in on this third motif here, or fourth motif actually. And then the last motif will be the Star of Bethlehem one that I showed in my swatches. But they're slowly getting bigger and bigger. We got this little one here, and a slightly bigger one, and then this one. So yeah, I think it's coming along. As I said, it's the 8th of July. I think the colorwork yoke is probably the slowest part of it, just because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm slow at colorwork. So, you know, but I do have some travel coming up this weekend. I will be flying to St. Louis, and I'm planning to bring this on the plane. So this will be my little plane project, and hopefully I can get more of the color work done, maybe all of the color work done on the way there. And then most of the body is just plain stockinette, all in the main color. So that shouldn't be too hard. Hopefully I can get a lot of that done while I'm in St. Louis, because my mom, I'm staying with my mom. My mom has cats, but they are not as crazy as Ghost. They kind of tend to stay out of my way, which is pretty nice when I'm knitting with unspun yarn. So yeah, so that's my progress for now. I think I can do it. I think I can get this done before the end of July. So we'll see. Hello, it is the 20th of July, and I am here with Ghost, of course, to give you an update on my Christmas jumper. I have finished the yoke. You can see all this beautiful color work is completed. Ghost is playing with the little cords that the sleeves are on. I finished the yoke. I separated for the sleeves. So you can see here, I've got my sleeve, my body, my other sleeve. And then I've knit about maybe 2 rows of the body, 2 or 3 rows of the body. However, I forgot that in the pattern, or I guess I hadn't read that far ahead. I hadn't read far enough ahead to see that in the pattern, the beginning of round, so where the, kind of see like where the tails are in the collar, that is set to be the back of your left shoulder. So this is like my beginning of round here at my back shoulder. And that's fine, except when I did my short rows, I put the beginning of round at the center back neck. So basically I was knitting my short rows as if where this tail is the center of the back. But when I went to, and that worked fine for the yoke, because the yoke is all, hey, let go. The yoke is all just in the round. There's no like really designated back or front. It's all like equal all around. It only becomes a problem when you separate for the sleeves and the body, and the way you're counting stitches is according to the fact that the beginning of round is the back left shoulder. So basically my short rows are offset to be kind of over my left shoulder, which you can see. So with the sleeves where they're supposed to be, this is the front, body here. You can see that the short rows are way longer here and way shorter here. So this is supposed to be the front, this is supposed to be the back. So I just need to recount the stitches and just only do knit half the back, then put the sleeve stitches on hold, knit the whole front, put the next sleeve stitches on hold, knit half the back to the center back neck, if that makes sense, from the BOR. And then that should be all good. So I'm just going to take back these 2, I think it's really only 2 little rows. See, that's how much I have for the underarm there. So I'm going to take back those 2 rows, redistribute the stitches so that the sleeves are in the right place. And then I will be able to knit the body. You are really going for it, huh, babe? She's really, you can't see her at all, but she's really having a great time. She's like gripping my knee. Oh dear. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to go put this away, put Ghost away. No, we're not going to put you away. We're going to go find a toy for Ghost, and I'm going to get back to work on my sweater. I think now that let me bring you back up. I think now that most of the color work is done, it's just straight stockinette knitting for the body. So that should go a lot quicker. There is a tiny bit of color work at the hem and then also at the cuffs of the sleeve. But other than that, it's pretty much just straight knitting. So hopefully that'll go quickly and I can finish in the next 10 days. Here's a little try-on video. I fixed the positioning of the sleeves and finished the body, and have started knitting my first sleeve, and it's looking good. I like the way it fits. Okay, she is done. My Christmas in July jumper is done. I did realize as I was knitting, which sleeve? This sleeve? This sleeve. I believe as I was knitting my right sleeve, that I was actually using the wrong needle. I was like halfway, I was like at the elbow, and I realized that I was using the larger needle that I used for the color work. The pattern doesn't have you change needle sizes, but I found my gauge was so different between the plain stockinette and the color work that I was using a 4mm needle for the color work and a 3.75 for the plain stockinette, which I actually think was neither of those were the needle size called for in the pattern, I don't think. But anyway, I had a whole scenario. I actually snapped my needles as I was knitting the cuff of my left sleeve. I was knitting in bed, which I do all the time, but this time I like leaned on my knitting project and my elbow like went right into my needle and it just snapped right where the like actual needle bit meets the cord. So I was all flustered and I finished the cuff with a different needle, and then I got a different needle thinking that it was the right needle for the stockinette. It wasn't, whatever. I figured it out halfway through. I thought about ripping it out, but honestly, like I could not tell the difference. It really did not look to be a significantly different gauge. I can't tell the difference when I'm wearing it. This has obviously not been blocked. I still have to block it and weave in all the ends. So I think that will make it even better, like even less obvious. So yeah, I just kept going. Also because I didn't want to rip out, because I want to be done with this project. Not that I don't like it. I have really enjoyed knitting it, but I'm starting to get a little antsy about getting stuff done for fall. So I wanted to get this done. And two, I didn't want to rip out unspun, because ripping back unspun is just not fun. So, but yeah, I don't think you can tell. I think it's super cute. I'm excited to see how it looks when blocked. I mean, it looks pretty nice now, but it definitely needs blocking. It's definitely a little iffy, especially the color work part. But yeah, I'm like really pleased. I'm so pleased with how it turned out. I really like the contrast hem and cuffs on the sleeves. I like my little collar has a tiny bit of contrast. I've got my nice little short row. I don't know if you can see short row shaping on the back, but yeah, I'm gonna give this a block and then she'll be done. My Christmas in July jumper, all ready to go for the holidays. And it's like the first week of August. So feeling pretty good about that timeline there. Okay, here it is, my finished Christmas in July jumper. It's perfect. I love it so much. Just close up of the yoke. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I was a little worried about the like the sleeves being a little tight, especially because like sometimes circular yokes, like either they're too baggy or they're too tight. It's hard to get that right. So that worked out really well. I did my little contrast hem and cuffs, a little tiny contrast at the collar. But yeah, it's done. It is technically the second week of August that I finally wove in all the ends and everything. So not really a fully Christmas in July project, but I don't care. I'm happy with it. I can't wait for it to be cold so that I can wear it. It's currently, I think, 87 degrees Fahrenheit is the high today. So that's horrible and I hate that. But before we know it, it's going to be chilly. It's going to be winter. We're going to be doing holiday markets. So yeah, I'm really pleased. that is my Christmas in July jumper. Thank you so much for following along on this journey. You can like and subscribe. You can get on my mailing list if you want to know more about upcoming pattern releases and all of the markets that I will be at this coming autumn and winter. Yeah, thanks so much for watching.